Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Fanzone podcast. It is a pleasure to have you all with us. Slightly different take this time. It's a pre-recorded episode, so you're not joining us live for once. So this will be still posted on YouTube, so feel free to head over there if you're listening on Spotify, or if you just want the audio-only version on your way to work, then you're more than welcome to head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and give us a follow and check it out over there.
Or on the way to the match. It's going to be available
on the way to the match. Precisely.
A bit of that.
Coming up, we have got all sorts for you. We have got Cole's pre-match presser, Andrew's quickfire questions, and of course, we've got a special guest joining us in just a little while. More on that to follow, though. Just before we get stuck into all of that good stuff, though, we just want to give a shout out to our headline sponsor, Eco Warm Windows, for sponsoring us for the headline season. Headline sponsor for the 2023-24 season. I think they're somewhere down this way, but thanks very much for sponsoring us. If you want to find out more about our sponsors, then you can head over to our website, which is www.thefanzonepod.co.uk, and find all of them over there.
All the W's.
So, we're straight into quickfire questions, boys. So, this is my new segment. I'm very excited about it. So, it went down well with Albie. So, we're going to do it as a regular occurrence. Whether we've got a guest or not, we don't care. We're just going to do it. So, here we go, boys. First question. Your season ticket, is it card or phone? What's that with Chris? Go around.
Always phone. Always.
Mine is also in my phone or on it. I occasionally get mixed up with my club card, though.
You know what? I do both, actually. I mix it up a little bit, and I don't know why. I think it's a bit of a superstitious thing. If we're winning, then I'll stick with whatever entry form we were last won, if that makes sense. I'm a bit superstitious with stuff, so I like to mix it up a little bit.
I'm always card.
Is that because of your age, Ange?
Yes, definitely because of my age.
Get mixed up with your both class.
Almost next week.
Yeah.
So pre-match, scran, dirty fries or chicken tikka naan?
Neither. I'm a fit trotter, don't you know?
Oh, you are.
See. Scrambled eggs on toast before the game, before I leave.
You're a good boy.
I know.
Me, not so much. I am all for the dirty fries.
Dirty.
Colin?
Difficult one, that. Depends what I've drank the night before. Which 9 times out of 10 is some kind of alcoholic beverage, so I'll probably go for the dirty fries like Benji because of the salt.
You can't go around with a shushma snack regardless.
That's very true, yeah. Also a cracking sponsor as well.
Cracking sponsor.
You mentioned that.
So with regards the transfer window, are we stronger or weaker than last season, Chris?
I would say, overall, I would say stronger.
I'm echoing that. I don't think there's much of a doubt in my mind that we are stronger, or I feel like we are stronger heading into this season.
Is it a full house call?
No, it won't be, will it? Oh, come on.
I reserve judgment a little bit, to be honest with you. And the strength in depth-wise, we are, like, in terms of depth, we are, if that makes sense. But I can't help but think about Connor and Traff, and I'm doing my best.
Let it go, Colin. Let it go.
Well, I've just better say I'm doing my best, and I've said to you on several occasions that once they've left, I'm going to forget about them. But in terms of the qualities that they've both got, I can't help but think about them both. I'm not fully convinced just yet of the right back we've signed, and I'm still hoping we sign another one to provide some competition.
I could have sworn these were quick fire questions.
Yeah, I know they are, aren't they? Sorry.
Quick fire, Colin. So we're going to move on.
Right, next.
Can I answer?
Right, next.
Yes, just.
Yes.
Right,
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Colin.
So on the issue of Declan John, is he in or is he out?
Deck gone.
Deck gone.
Same here, out for me.
Yeah, gone. Not good enough defensively.
Full house of Deck gone. So new shirts, home, away or third?
Home.
Classic. Third for me. And I'm going to give you a bit of Colin spiel. If you haven't already, head over to our Twitter because we are doing a shirt giveaway and the winner will be announced on Friday. So if you've entered and you're listening to the podcast, you could get your hands on a free shirt. So go and have a nosy.
Any size, any design you like. Although to put a T's and C's onto that competition, you're not allowed to get your name on the back of it because that's a little bit too expensive for us.
Or there'll be no printing.
No printing.
Not made the money.
How much money do you think we've got?
Colin, which shirt?
Black, because these days I'm a bit fatter than I used to be and it slims me out a little bit.
We love a black shirt.
Can't lie.
Yeah. I don't know, actually.
Next one, Paris or Josh?
Josh for now.
Fair.
I'm the same. For now, not seen enough of Paris, but Josh for me for now.
Yeah, Josh.
Fairs. We've not seen anything of Paris, so we can't really make judgment. I think that's a fair call on that one. Who is up front with Super Dion? Is it Dan or Victor?
Victor.
Dan.
I would go Dan.
Ooh.
Split the panel there.
Like it.
Which side are we thinking our attacking threat is coming from, left or right?
I would say more left this season.
Yeah, I think the way Randall's been playing, I think left is going to be imperious for us this season.
Can I choose middle?
No.
Ooh. No, because it's left or right.
Left then. But if I was going to choose any element, I'd be choosing middle.
Top, middle, or bottom.
Fair.
Yeah.
So, bit of an open one this time, but still quick fire. Singular most important position we need to fill still.
Number 10 is
number 10.
Yeah, I will elaborate a little bit on that because we don't know for sure the purpose and the role that Mendes Gomez is
playing. Yeah,
I think it's abundantly clear for me, Chris. I think he's going to be playing through the middle as a 10.
Do we
think?
Interested to see how it pans out.
Yeah.
Ben,
I'm a 10 for sure. I think even if I think we're pretty set across the park, but another number 10 would fill me with confidence.
Right wing back. Kieran Saldy's not good enough, and he should go.
Oh, brutal, Colin.
No, sorry. It's quick fire, but to elaborate, he's good enough as a player, technically wise, but he's not good enough for the system.
But he's not his position.
Yeah. He's not a right wing back by any stretch, and I think he'd admit that if he was sat here with us now.
Yeah, he's a square peg round hole, isn't he?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And the last of your quick fire questions for this week is Saturday. Bolton or Lincoln win?
Bolton.
Gotta be Bolton, 3 points.
Bolton by 3 clear goals.
Oh, it's a brave call. I was Bolton win too. So thank you. That was fun.
Sterling effort.
So, speaking of Saturday, what are our expectations? Of course, I'm very excited. I'm sure everyone is. Very much looking forward to returning back to the Tough Sheets Community Stadium, aka Reebok Stadium. But yeah, what you all expecting from the game on Saturday? I'll start with Chris.
I'll kick us off. I'm expecting a win. For the first time in quite a long time, I feel really confident heading into this season, and that's all there is to it. 3 points on to the next one, onto an away trip to Cheltenham. I can't envision anything else. I think the quality that we've brought in will do us justice, and for me, it's a nailed on 3 points.
Chris?
I would say the same. I think the only reservation that I've got is the fact that Lincoln's record first game season is unmatched in any of the league's 12 seasons. I think it is unbeaten first game of the season. I don't think it's going to be as easy as we might think. However, we said that about Wickham last season. I know it wasn't our first game, but very, very similar kind of expectations, and we absolutely tore them apart. So, whilst it won't be easy, I think we will win. I think 2-0.
Ange?
I don't make score predictions.
Oh.
But I'm feeling really positive about Saturday, even though I'm not there. It's killing me inside. And I think it's a Bolton win, definitely. Let's get out there and show them exactly our intentions for the season.
Any reservations over the way we play? What I mean by that is, of course, Traff, such an instrumental part of our progression from back to front over the last 18 months. Obviously, as much as our new keeper has experienced and played at a higher level than our recent goalkeepers. Question marks might be said about, obviously, his distribution with his feet. Any reservations on that front?
Yeah. It is a weakness of his game. It's been identified and highlighted. It's been worked on in pre-season. And Evert's already come out and nipped it in the bud and covered it off by saying that I encourage this way of playing. And if it causes issues, if mistakes are made, then that's on him as opposed to on Baxter. So he's already cut it off at the pass. So it is a concern. But we won't change. Some people say he's stubborn, and I guess he is to a point. I think he'll admit it himself that he's got his way of playing, and it will carry on. So it ain't going to be all easy. We ain't going to have it all our own way, but no.
Ben, what are you saying?
I mean, I think it'd be odd if we didn't have reservations about, the way that we play and how that's going to flow with a good handful of new signings in the team. I think it'd be, extremely arrogant of us to suggest now we'll walk all over them. There won't be any issues. I'm not expecting that at all, but I do think that the quality that we've got and that we've brought in is enough to still muster maybe paper over those cracks until we get to a point where everyone's playing on the same page. And it might be, come January, all the new signings have found their feet with the quality that they possess. And I think maybe from January onwards, we'll be looking at the same team but playing at a different standard. But for me, the reservations are there, but I can't see it as affecting us too much.
What are you thinking, Ange?
Yeah, no, similar, echo the same. So obviously it took Traff a little bit of time. He came to us in that January window and is a completely different player. The one that's left, the one that joined us. And I think we've got that backroom staff to bring the best out in certainly that position. I think Jokesy does really well with the boys in goal. Having recently played there, it's not like he's not been in that team. Yeah. And I think he's a massive kind of example of what a goalkeeper should be. We heard him on iFollow barking every single match. All you could hear was Matt Jokes, and Baxter's really vocal. I was a little bit more worried about when Coleman was in goal at Salford. He was very quiet. But I think a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and not everyone getting on everyone's back who's just signed. Let's give them a little bit of time to settle in and gel, and then just go with it. We know that you can't build a winning squad in a couple of weeks.
So this may very well be my last question, but it may not, depending on how I feel when I've asked it. Obviously, Ben's mentioned about the amount of players we've brought in this summer window. Are we expecting wholesale changes? Of course, Baxter's going to be, I would suspect, the number one goalkeeper. That kind of goes without saying. But what other changes are we expecting to the starting 11? Because me personally, I can't see many. To be honest, I think it'll be the back five as we would expect. But the rest of them, I think they're pretty nailed on. What about you, Chris?
I would agree with that. Obviously, I would suspect that Iredale will play this Saturday and not Forrester. I'd expect Cogley to play, or Dacres Cogley, whatever we're going to call him moving forward.
Coggers.
And then I think we're just going to have a really, really strong bench. Obviously, Baxter will start in goal, but you're going to have Mendes, Gomez, Magoma, Ashworth, Forrester, and Lunderloo. Sadly, maybe on the bench. So it's going to be a really strong bench, and it's going to be a really dynamic bench. I think that's what the difference is this season. So with the 8 that we brought in, you could just see the evolution of the team, age-wise, not physicality-wise, but athleticism-wise. That we're a lot quicker, sharper, stronger. It's a different dynamic this season, but fundamentally, it's not. No, like you said, Cole, it's not going to change too much.
No.
You've genuinely got starters on the bench, and that is for me the biggest progress this season. Where in the past we've had fillers on the bench, this season anyone who sat on that bench could start.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Then what are you saying, pal?
Exactly what Anne just said. I think that was going to be the one for me. No, it's fine. It's a really good point. The quality and depth that we've now got is astounding compared to last season. I think we struggled numerous times. Injuries absolutely threw us off rotten, and we didn't have the bodies. Well, we had the bodies, but none of them were really up to the standard. It felt like a bit like a case of square pegs in round holes. So yeah, I think for me that's going to be the biggest change, and also what Chris said, the athleticism. One player in particular I've noticed coming back really strong is Josh Sheehan. The way he puts himself about, or has done in pre-season, has been really, really impressive. It looks like he's been tasked with getting under people's feet a little bit more, winning the ball back high up the pitch, and especially against Everton and West Brom. I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And finally,
I don't think we've finished, Cole, either. I don't think we've finished yet. I think there's still maybe one, maybe two more new.
And
faces.
he did say that on that BBC Radio Sport interview that one or two more.
Do you think that, because obviously the following day Matheson was
B-team announcement
was announced, and then obviously John O's new contract was announced. Do you think it?
I don't think he meant them.
No,
from listening to that interview. No,
I hope not.
Is it number 21 still free? Isn't it? Apparently,
number 21 is still free.
Yeah.
Anyway, swiftly moving on to my last question. I'll make this my last question. Obviously, we all know how important it is to get off to a good start. And obviously we've got, thinking about August, Lincoln, Cheltenham, Fleetwood at home, Wigan at home, and Burton, Albion away.
Yeah.
How important is it for us to obviously win the majority of them, and how many points are you expecting out of them games?
I think it's absolutely imperative that we get off to a good start. We can't. We've been a little bit sluggish off the mark in previous seasons. It's a familiar Bolton theme that we've all come to know, but not quite love. So for me, the first 5, absolutely essential. We cannot be, sluggish out the blocks. We have to be on it, and we have to really hit those games and look at the opposition that will be playing us after those first 5 and give them the fear of God coming to our place, or when we turn up at theirs thinking they're on fine form and we're only a month into the season. I think not giving other teams any sense of we could have them here, and going into after the first 5 with our heads held high, thinking we're onto a good one here, but not so much so that we become complacent. But for me, I think
we need to go into the the second month of the season with teams knowing that we mean business. For me,
absolutely,
that's my absolutely.
And for me, it's not about performance at this stage; it's about points. So by hook or crook, we come out of those first few matches where we're still trying to gel as a team with 3 if we can, 1 as the minimum. But I don't expect a polished performance by any means, because we're a once again quite a potentially new squad. So for me, the points at the minute absolutely outweigh the performance.
Yeah, and that's why before Andrea asked a question about the amount of changes that we think there'll be, because as Chris rightly pointed out, can't envision many, because you don't want to disrupt the apple cart. Is that the right phrase?
Upset the apple cart. Yeah.
What it is, upset the apple cart.
Upset
it. Yeah, don't shake it.
Will fall off. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I did question myself, in fairness. So, give me the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Chris, what's your thoughts?
So I think that you can spin games so many different ways, can't you? But I think, and I'm looking at them now, like I say, with Lincoln, they've had this mad run, first game of the season kind of kick that they've got, where they've just not lost for forever. So there's a challenge there in itself. Cheltenham away, we lost there last season 1-0 and didn't bother turning up. So again, it's about addressing previous errors. So that's the one to address there. Fleetwood at home, by no means a given, but we do tend to have a good day against Fleetwood at home. We do tend to get 3 points.
Because it tends to be last match of the season.
Well, yeah. So it's a free hit, but don't let Nappers hear me say that. And obviously, then you got Wigan, and that speaks for itself. We have to put that right. Not going to be easy, despite their issues. And then Burton away, and we
all know there's a bloody Burton away.
So you've got
the Tuesday night again, is it that?
No, it's on the Saturday this time.
Weirdly, it's on a Saturday.
But if you think back to the Allardyce era, there was always little micro objectives throughout the bigger piece. There was landmarks, quarters of the season and all that, but there was micro targets within it. Yeah, and things I've touched on there are very much those little things that if we kick on, these are the areas where we need to improve. We need to be beating Wigan at home where we never do. We need to be winning at Burton. We need to be winning at Cheltenham. And then all this talk about promotion, which is everywhere at the moment, and winning the championship, going up as champion, should I say, and going back to the championship, then we can start talking about it. Until then,
I agree.
Let's wrap it in a bit.
Thanks for joining Cole's pre-match presser, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
So, if you haven't already noticed and you haven't been dancing around your kitchen or jigging along in the car, there are a few small changes to the Fanzone pod and the way it looks and listens or sounds. So we're trying something new. We're giving everyone sort of segments to get in with and bring questions to you that perhaps we might not have thought of. So if you are watching, tag us over on Twitter and let us know what you think of our new look, really. Season 2 is going to be big for us. We've got some big announcements right around the corner. We really cannot wait to get started. We're heading up some pretty big guests, it's fair to say. Starting right away with a guest that is quite popular on Bolton Twitter, come to believe.
Right. Yeah.
But just before we get into our guest section, we are going to quickly fire through the League One table prediction. So we're going to do top 6, bottom 3. So your 2 automatics, your 1 promotion winner, and your 3 who are on their way to League 2.
Ben, can we start from can we start from the bottom up, please?
Fire away.
Is that all right?
What do you mean? As in
bottom relegation?
As in the last position.
All right.
You get what I mean?
Relegation upwards.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll start if you want. I've got 24th place. I've got Cambridge United. Despite signing pod favourite,
catcher
Elias Kachunga. Yeah, despite that. I like Mark Bonner as the manager. I think he's a good manager, in fairness to him. But I think they've lost too many key players in attack, such as Sam Smith and Joe Ironside as well, from what I've read, who were integral to them doing for them quite well last season. They were quite weak last season, but I think now they're even weaker than before. So I've got Cambridge in 24.
Do you want to go through all of your bottom 3?
Yeah. But did you just do bottom 3 then? I bottom 1.
Just did 1, but Cole, if you want to fire away with all 3.
What's your bottom 3, Cole?
Sorry, right? Yeah, of course. I've got Cheltenham in 23rd. I can't look past Alfie May's goals, to be honest with you. He scored 20 out of the 45 goals last season, which is absolutely unbelievable, to be honest. Obviously, bringing Curtis Davis, I think, for him's a good signing, centre half, good experience, but I don't think it'll be enough because I just don't think they'll be prolific enough, to be honest, from what I've read and what I know of them so far. 22nd, I've gone for Northampton. Not enough nous really to be able to stick in League One. I don't think they've really ever stayed around for longer than 2 seasons, from what I've read, and they have struggled quite historically. Some okay loans as well, though, from the likes of Fulham, Brighton, Huddersfield. They've tapped into the loan market, which could be quite beneficial for them. But I just think they're kind of lacking in that extra quality to kind of survive in this division. So that's what I've got in 22nd. I've done my notes, as you can tell. And last, might be a bit of a surprise. I kind of ummed and ahed really between Reading and the team I've chose. Obviously, I think with Reading, I think they'll just about survive the skin of the teeth, to be honest. But I've gone with Port Vale as the 25th side to get relegated, which might surprise a few people. I'm not really convinced. I'm quite unconvinced by the manager appointment. I think he's called Andy Crosby. I looked at his history and stuff, and he's really only ever managed Northern Ireland under 21s. And I think Port Vale, despite they're not a massive football club, they have an element of expectation. I think he might struggle under that. I think they signed Connor Ripley, the goalkeeper from Morecambe from last season, who's, I wouldn't have minded personally as our number 2, but people told me that he weren't great with his feet, so probably the reason why we didn't get it. But I think the lack of goals, really, from what I can see, they've done a bit of a revamp and they've not really focused really in the attacking. I don't think Jamie Proctor's got enough to keep a team in League One. So yeah, that's my relegation teams anyway.
Fair dues. I shall go next. Bottom of rock bottom for me are Northampton. I can't really give anything else other than what you said, Carl. I just don't think they've got enough might to stay up. I don't think they've brought in enough quality. And if they do avoid the drop this season, I think relying so heavily on the loan market this time around might come to bite them next season when they're looking at, perhaps a fight on their hands again if they do stay up. 23rd, I was a bit on the ropes with this one. I didn't know whether to put them a bit higher up, but I've gone with Cheltenham, similar to you, Cole. I think Alfie May, absolutely, a monstrous loss for them. And I just don't think they'll be able to bring the that he brought last season back. I can't see it myself.
I feel a bit sorry for Cheltenham because obviously they lost the manager, didn't they, to Barnsley, which is a massive punch in the stomach. And this time around, they've lost the bloody top striker. So that's another punch. They get heavily punched in the stomach, don't they, over the last couple of years?
Unlucky.
They do indeed. After that, I've gone for Stevenage. Now, they had a really good season last season, don't get me wrong. They were an impressive team to watch, albeit in League Two. I think they played in a way that isn't often associated with League Two football. But similar to Northampton, the teams coming up, I think, from League Two have got it really, really tough. So for me, I'm just not sure about them. And just about falling into the drop zone, I've gone with Cambridge. So I'll put them a little bit higher up. Perhaps some sentiment involved with that, with Catcher signing for them. But like you said, the loss of Ironside, especially, but also Sam Smith, is just, I fail to see how they can match their quality. And draw players in. I think if there were a few prospects sort of on the verge of the first team, it might be okay. But from what I can tell, it doesn't seem to be that. That fortune. So yeah, for me, unfortunately, I think Catcher might be sent on a League Two tour. But yeah, they're my bottom four.
Chris, what are you saying?
I think it's pretty pointless going over the whys and the whys. Because we've already done it, I think, and we've all done this independently. But here you go. 24th, I've got Carlisle. While Simpson, he's an excellent manager. I think I just don't think they've not done the business it's required. It's just
sorry to you see the reason why I don't think they'll get relegated. I think the Crow will keep them up.
They've got. I think that's one of the things that they've got. They've got that. It's quite intimidating. Obviously, they had some issues with crowd trouble last season, didn't they? They're quite vocal, vociferous, and a bit lively. Them lot, aren't they? And good luck to them.
No.
I hope they do well, but I don't think.
Yeah, I hope they stay up. To be honest, obviously, it's not a local team by any stretch of the imagination, but they're a northern team, aren't they? So,
northern team, for a stretch,
23rd Northampton, for the reasons that we've discussed already. 22nd Cheltenham. I think obviously the focal point, and we've all touched on it, or you both touched on it, is Alfie May. I'd rather not focus on this part of the league, to be honest with you, because it's of no interest to us. I know that sounds arrogant, and we shouldn't be entitled, etc. But it's the way it is, I'm afraid, this season. And then 21st Cambridge, old mate Catcher, former guest of the pod and all that, and all-round great guy, but I'm afraid I think it's the end of the line. I think, like you say, Bonner has worked miracles there, but I just think it's just going to be too much this season.
Yeah. Ange?
So I'm not going to elaborate at all on mine. I've actually done it, but I don't do predictions. So 24th Stevenage, 23rd Northampton, 22nd Cheltenham, and 25th Carlisle. Reasons, or see above for reasons.
So,
Much more.
Shall we do our playoffs? A bit more of our side of the league table.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I'll go first if you like. I've gone for Peterborough to just about get into the playoffs, despite the fact that they've lost a lot of players or put a lot of players on the transfer market. They've still got Johnson Clark Harris. How long that's for, I don't know. They've done the Peterborough thing and signed several players from the National League, who I'm sure will be absolute gems. And might end up playing for us one day if Rico's able to go by. Darren Ferguson knows his onions, I've put here on my notes in this division. And I also think that a full season will obviously help him because I think he joined a bit of a messy Peterborough side last season, didn't he? So good players in the side as well. Obviously, Sankey also, which we all know a lot about. Mason Clark, cracking little player. It sounded like called Porky from Ipswich. I think he's quite talented as well on loan. So I think they'll just have enough to get into the playoffs. So I've got Peterborough in 6th. 5th, I've gone for Charlton. Obviously, Alfie May, I think he'll do probably very well in that team because they've signed a lot of big players around him or good players around him. My only question with him is Dean Holden. Can he get them to gel? Signed a lot of players. Question marks over that, but they signed Harry Eisted from Barnsley, the goalkeeper, who played very well in the playoff final, if you can recall. Yeah. They've obviously had a takeover recently, which will give them a nice little boost as well for the season, no doubt. But they seem like they've certainly got a good side on paper. All of the game ain't played on paper, but you know what I'm saying. So I've got them in 5th. I've got Blackpool in 4th. I think Neil Critchley is a cracking manager at this level. Ollie Norburn will beef up the midfield. I still think they've got a good percentage of the players left from the Championship as well. I know they've lost my namesake, Mr. Yates, to Swansea, but I still think they've got enough to get into the playoffs. And I think they've got the more settled squad as well, like the teams that have been relegated from or settled teams or settled clubs, shall we say, the teams dropping from the Championship. I've got Pompey in 3rd. Squad depth more than they've had in a long time. Absolutely fantastic set of signings. A few question marks over John Mousinho, their manager again, first season in charge. Signed a lot of players, kind of get them to gel. But if he does, he signs some crackers. Is it Regan Pools, centre half? I think he is. Yeah. Anthony Scully, I think he's a winger, quite a talented lad. Obviously, they've got Colby Bishop, who's obviously knows where the net is. I think they've got a lot of good things going. My only question mark is the manager, to be honest with you. And I think if they don't get off to a good start, Pompey's expectations for the fans are quite high this season. I think he could be one of the first ones to go if he doesn't get off to a good start, to be honest. Because I think they need to, if they're not going to get promoted, if they're not going to challenge this year, Portsmouth, I don't think they ever will, to be honest. And second, I've gone for Bolton Wanderers Football Club. I don't think we'll have enough to win the division. I question the creative spark at the moment for us to win the league. I question whether Ian Evatt can win the league, to be honest with you. He is a young manager, let's be honest, and experience at this level, and he's competing against Paul Warne, in my opinion, who is the most experienced League One manager from a promotion perspective. And I think he'll just about pip us to the title. So obviously I've got Derby in first. I have got question marks over Paul Warne, despite what I've just said, because I think obviously he's historically managed at lesser clubs, and the pressure is on him, and whether he can manage that pressure, obviously, could be a question. But they've just got too much of a good squad, like to Sonny Bradley, they signed Connor Washington, they've got Max Bird, James Collins, Mendes Lang. They've just got a really, really good squad. And I think it's a squad that's just better than ours, although it's a bit of a flip of the coin. So yeah, I hope I've not bored you, but that's my top 6.
I only carried 5 then.
Who did you have winning it?
Well, Derby to win it, us second.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed it. I must have tuned
out.
I
didn't need to elaborate much on us because obviously we know what
No, of course not. I thought you counted back from 5, not 6.
No, well, I went through us quite quickly. That's probably the reason why.
I will. I'll fly through mine relatively quickly. 6, I've got Blackpool. I think they've got a nice settled squad. They've got a good coach in Critchley. Did a really good job with them before jumping off with Stephen Gerrard, but I think he's got what it takes to get him in the playoffs and possibly even win the playoffs and send them back to the Championship. First time of asking. 5th, I've gone for. I was tempted with this one to sneak Oxford in there, but I didn't. I left them out. I I think they've been really good in pre-season, but I didn't put them in, and I've actually gone with Charlton. Same reasons as Carl. I think Alfie May, a wonderful striker, and will do really well for them. And a nice cash injection, it seems, to kick off League One will do them some favours. In fourth, I've gone with Portsmouth. I think they've got a good side. They're established League One side. They've got what it takes to settle in the playoffs. I don't think there'll be too many questions asked of their playoff status throughout the season. Third, I was on the boat with this one as well. I've gone with Barnsley. Just because I think after the season they had last time, even though they've lost a few players, I have some weird faith in them and their team to bounce back and come back through. I don't think they've got what it takes to get promotion. I think they'll get to the playoffs and collapse. I think that little bit of momentum from last season with some of the players that they've still got will help pull them through the season, but I don't think they've got what it takes in the playoffs against the likes of Blackpool. Second, same as you, Carl, I've gone Bolton. I just don't think we've got enough to win it, but I know that we've got enough to go up. There's no doubt in my mind that we're capable of going up. Whether we will is a different question. And first, Derby, really good team, championship team. If you ask me, they're ready to go up. They had their season in League One last year. They did well. They built on what they needed to. Sort of waded through the troubles that they had, and I think now's their time to return to the Championship. So for me, Derby take top spot.
Go on, Chris.
So I go. I mean, we're seeing patterns. I think the only thing that's bucking the trend there is Barnsley.
Curveball from Benjamin.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
They've still got, to be fair to them, they've still got some good players. I know they've lost that Mads Anderson. They've still got some good players, so I can see where Ben's coming from with that.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's so many different ways you can interpret this season, and I think the overriding thing is it's weaker than it's ever been. I ain't buying into that too much, to be honest with you. But that's, again,
I'll reserve that judgment until say
there was that kicking ball.
December time. Yeah, see where we are in December. And it wasn't Derby like 10 points ahead of third, then yeah, I'll go with that.
So I'll dive in and I'll go sixth place, Charlton Athletic. I think given the new ownership, even though he's absolutely barking mad, Charlie Methven, if you recall him from the Sunderland Netflix documentary, talking about entrance music and stuff like that, wearing salmon-coloured slacks. He's absolutely off his tits, the man. He's mad. But he's brought stability to the club, and I think Dean Holden will thrive off that. I think you've touched on it, Cole. There's a new sort of spine to the team. I know they've lost. I always get his name wrong. Raksaki.
No, you got it right.
Raksu.
I call him Raksu. Yeah.
Yeah. If you remember that, was it X Factor that had?
I think it was X Factor. Yeah.
Raksu. But Raksaki's gone. But they've got a good solid spine with Eisted, a midfielder who I would have loved. And I hope that Magoma is our version of him, which is Panucci Camera, and obviously bringing in Alfie May. So I see Charlton 6 in 5th. I see Derby. Losing McGoldrick's quite a big blow. But I think that's something that's been planned. Given he's gone to Notts County, I think that's something that's been in the pipeline.
That was his childhood club.
Yeah. I think they must have known about that all along. Is Connor Washington enough to fill his boots?
He's played with Warren before, though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Knows him like the back of his hand, doesn't he?
There's still a solid team there. I think bringing in Sonny Bradley alongside Cashin at the back is a masterstroke. And also, I think where they struggled last season is pace at the back. And they brought in Curtis Nelson, who brings that in absolute spades. So, yeah, some good signs at Derby, and they're going to be there or thereabouts. They're going to be tipping 30,000 at home every other weekend. That's always going to help. In fourth, I've gone Oxford. For me, last season was a major blip with Carl Robinson. It was a bizarre.
A bit weird, wasn't it?
It was. I didn't see that coming. Oxford fans did, but Liam Manning's first full season, I think the man that they brought in who could be the catalyst for it all is Rodriguez from Notts County. I think that's just a masterstroke of a signing.
I don't see. Sorry, Chris. I don't see how a lad who's been played in the conference can step up to League One and
it's his numbers to me. So he's second only. I mean, this is a wacky stat, but I'm going to throw it in there. He's second only to Kevin De Bruyne in terms of creative midfield assists or contributions.
But in the conference.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but still, it's second. So you go from the conference all the way to De Bruyne. All the points in between don't come close. And I think they've absolutely spotted a gem there, and I think he'll contribute massively. Josh McEachran as well. I just think they've got it going on this season, and seeing them absolutely spank QPR last weekend 5-0 in a friendly. They were purring. Some of the play was absolutely stunning, and it's coming together. Third, Portsmouth. I put Portsmouth in third, and I put a note against the side might not even get to the playoffs. And I think you mentioned Mousinho as the coach, obviously, where there could be potentially an issue. Just if this appears on the pod, Ben has had to go off. He's not very well.
He's poorly. He's really poorly.
There's a very good possibility that he is being sick. So just thought I'd throw that in there. Their sporting director is Richard Hughes, who's really quite interesting. He's ex-Forest Green. So he was sporting director at Forest Green when they won League Two in 22. Really sort of innovative sporting director. He's got some great ideas, very highly thought of and sought after. 11 new signings.
It's a lot, isn't it?
To a team. It is, but it's to a team that had some really good momentum at the tail end of last season.
Well, then essentially half of that team are now changed. So
yeah, this is
I
why
think
this is
talking
why
about
swing really
you're
quite
talking about
third or not even getting into the playoffs. It's a weird.
You're talking about Charlton. You're talking about Oxford. You're talking about Portsmouth. You're talking about three teams that have made a shitload of signings.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
I'm not basing it on signings. I'm not basing it on. I think the only one there that's made a lot of signings is Portsmouth. I'm not basing the predictions on.
No, I'm just saying it's a lot to gel, isn't it? It's a lot to gel.
Yeah, it is. But I think there was a lot. There's also the fact you got to factor in the work in progress from last season kicking in and tipping over into this season. Yeah, second, us. I don't think we'll win it. Not for any of the reasons that we've touched on, that we don't have. I don't know the required players or whatever it might be. For me, we just don't have it. And whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but I'd love it if we had it, but we don't. So you think about Rotherham, you think about Plymouth. They've just got something.
I know what it is.
I know what it is.
We haven't got that. We haven't got that nastiness.
There's a bit of dark arts. There's a bit of shithousery. I get that. But no, there's something out. Whether it's a management thing, whether it's the way that we set up against certain teams, I don't know what it is, but they had it. And I think about when we lost at home against Rotherham 2-0 a couple of seasons ago. And it's, you just look at them and you think, what is it? They weren't particularly dirty. They weren't time wasting. They were just effective, efficient. They closed down well in certain positions and just nullified us. And I don't think we quite got that. And that's why I think we'll finish second. But I tell you what, I'll take that.
Yeah.
And I think champions will be Blackpool, who I think are being seriously underestimated. When they went through the recruitment process and brought Critchley in, they said, we looked at everybody but him. We tried to avoid him, and it all came back to him every time. I think he's a perfect fit. I think he's a brilliant coach. I think he's a reason, obviously, why Gerard's been very successful, or a big part of that. And he will have received a phone call, I've no doubt, off Gerard, but obviously it was too late. There's a lot of players still there who thrived under him. And there are 3 players that I've highlighted who he signed who I think will make the difference. And that's, again, it's a spine. So you've got Pennington at centre-back, Ollie Norburn in midfield, and Kyle Joseph up front. And I think bringing that spine into that team and adding Critchley, or bringing Critchley back, will win them the league.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So I don't think I'm massively different from anyone, but in 6th I've got Charlton. In 5th I've got Blackpool. 4th I've got Peterborough. 3rd I've got Portsmouth. And then the top 2 doesn't really bother me because we're in my top 10. So I don't really care who wins it. But I've gone Derby second and I've gone us first because I actually think that thing you think we've got missing, I feel like we might find it this season. We haven't kicked a ball in the league yet, so I ain't going off any pre-season matches whatsoever. I reserve judgment on our squad until we've started to play league matches. And for me, I just feel like we might, if we can make those additional 1 or 2 that Ian alluded to, I think we might find that missing, that little bit of X factor. And we might have that cutting edge. It's a clinical edge that we're missing and a bit of grit. And then I think we've cracked it.
That clinical edge, bang on that.
Clinical edge.
Oh, Ben.
Is it just me that can't hear Ben?
Ben, you're on mute, mate. That's a 5-5, isn't it?
Yeah. This is where
I've got mitigating circumstances. So we are joined by Callum, who over on Twitter is better known as Bull Knowledge. You can find him over there. We'll put his links in the bio. An interesting sort of path to fame on Bolton Twitter, really. You probably wouldn't have predicted it. We are an odd fan base. I can tell you that much for free. But thank you very much for joining us, Callum. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
You're very, very welcome.
Thanks for waiting, mate.
Welcome.
Thanks for waiting.
Welcome to the madam.
So, Callum has become pretty well known on Bolton Twitter for his player profiles. So what that looks like is a big long thread about players that we are linked with or have signed. That there isn't really exclusivity. It's on players that we're linked with and that we've signed. And what Callum does is goes away and looks at these players and puts together a bit of a profile on who they are, how they play, how they'll fit into our team, any sort of underlying risks there might be with this move, and a whole heap of really interesting content. So if that sounds like some of you, if you head to the link in the bio, you can go and check him out. But Callum, we've got a few questions for you. I think the first one that stands out most is how did you actually find an interest in Bolton, of all clubs?
Well, yeah, it does sound a bit weird, but the first thing actually wasn't on Bolton. It was on a United keeper called Matty Kovar. No one really knows him, but I quite like him anyway. And basically, it started, I was in Sky Sports with my brother, and Graham Souness is on, and we were just both slagging him off so much. I can't stand him. He doesn't know anything. And then, so he told me to start on Twitter, share me stuff. And then, my mate is a Bolton fan. It's called Alex. And he went, oh God, if you're doing something, do something for Bolton. So I had a look at the Papa John's final, and I just made a massive thread on that, and it got like 50k views, and it was only my second tweet. So
How many? 50,000?
yeah, I've not come close since.
Bloody hell.
I've not come anywhere close since.
Well, we're certainly a fan base that'll look after you. I think, apart from a couple of familiar faces, there aren't really many people who go that in depth with Twitter content. I know there's a lot knocking about in sort of the Premier League and even the Championship, but at League One level, there just isn't enough interest. So it's quite nice to see someone picking us up and taking a look and giving us content that we're pretty starved of otherwise. Another question for you. How do you think Bolton will get on this season? How do you think we'll fare? Obviously, we've done our league predictions, but from an outsider looking in, it's got a pretty good view.
I was going to say
How do
that
you think?
it's critically important for us to gauge a bit of an understanding of from the outside looking in how because obviously, you know, we can all look at the odds and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because generally that's what people kind of decide on stuff. But yeah, it'd be good to get your kind of thoughts from an outsider.
Yeah, from a neutral perspective, it's really interesting because there's no bias involved now. But I think you've all predicted it fairly well, to be fair. I'm thinking automatic, if not minute, because you know Everett's not gonna hang about in League One. I know he's only young, but he knows what he's doing, and I think he can go right to the top. So if you don't get promoted this season, then I can go. But yeah, I think you'll get automatic promotion personally, and a good run in the EFL trophy as well.
No, I can't be doing with that again.
Don't say that to Colin.
Again, just concentrate
furiously against the Papa
just
John's.
tunnel vision straight for the league.
Fair.
So Callum, obviously you do threads as part of your content. So if someone's looking to get involved in that sort of Twitter feed, how did they get started with that sort of thing?
Well, it's going to sound a bit simple now. Basically, put me out of a job. But I go on an app called SofaScore. Other apps are available, obviously. But I just look at the basic stats and then the heat map and see how they fit into a team. Really simple stuff. And then I ask my mate if he knows them because he obviously knows League One. And then I just have a look at, because I don't pay for anything, so I just have a look at like highlights and stuff and then form my own like views on it. And I'm not 100% on it, but I like to think I'm pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty successful so far, I'd say.
I have to say, it's come from nowhere, hasn't it? Sort of like across the. Obviously, you mentioned you did the Papa John's, but the prominence has been like in the last, just like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's just snowballed, and it's is that you planning it? Are you strategic with your social media, or is it just pure luck? What is it? What's I suppose it's like the Colonel's secret recipe a little bit. You don't want to give it away, but
there's not too much on it. Just putting just a BWFC stacking it. I make to do quite well. But it's basically as soon as you get a link and it's from more than one source, I'm on it basically to get it as quick as possible. And with the Paris one, I think I made it. I got it out, and then he signed on like an hour later. That really helped
for me. That was what it was like. Hang on a minute, this guy's got something, and then all of a sudden, does he? And then that happened.
And then it started to filter through, didn't it? Yeah.
And it was like that was
when everyone's typing his name on Twitter, you scroll down and you go down, you get a mate, you're like, oh man, have a read.
I love it. No, it's good. I think as well, like you say, having that sort of that unbiased view adds credibility to it. In the set, obviously, if a Bolton fan's doing it, inevitably, whether it's subconscious or not, there's going to be an element of, we play for Bolton, and there's bias and there's no balance to it. And I think that's what I've really enjoyed the last few weeks reading them. That it's, people claim to be in the know. Well, use your information, and they are. So,
yeah. What's the a bit of an off the cuff question? This, but what's the plan for you in terms of your content? Are you going to take it to that kind of next level? Maybe do like YouTube channel or something like that, or is it just sticking to Twitter? or X?
Well, yeah, mine wasn't planning on showing my face this early, but if it's getting received, well, then I might have to. But yeah, no, I'm going to keep doing Bolton, definitely. There's a place in the heart for Bolton now. But I will look to expand, not just like, I think EFL stuff does really well because no one else really covers it. But yeah, because I'm United, obviously, I have to go all the night stuff, and I'm being like having an audience for that. But I do, like, there will be a place for Bolton always.
Brilliant.
Love it.
And which signing are you most looking forward to keeping your eye on for Bolton that you've kind of touched on?
I personally really like Dakres Cogley, but maybe
Snap.
But yeah, he could become a real cog in the system. But yeah,
See what you did
he looks
there.
really attacking, and to pick someone up like that up from League Two, if he's going to come in and do really well, then that'll be really interesting. It's a good one to keep an eye on. But this might be a bit unpopular as well, but I like Matheson really. Like, I want to name. I know it's only a big team signing, but he's definitely got ability in there. It's just giving him the environment to succeed and push on. I think that was the problem at Wolves. He wasn't getting enough like opportunities in the first team and stuff. And then when he went out on loan, it wasn't really working in his head. But if he gets like consistent game time for the B team, and then Everett sees something, he might be able to just manage him like properly and then embed him in slowly. I know he's only signed a 1 year deal, but that can always be extended.
He's had some real mixed reviews, I think, from people who've been to watch the B team matches. But I think a lot of that is to do with stability, isn't it, and confidence. And I think we're a good place to grow that.
Probably his fitness as well. His fitness is probably a little bit off as well, because he's had a bad injury, and as well, he's trying to recover back from that.
Yeah, that's true.
It'll certainly be interesting to see where this season takes us, but also how you sort of follow us along and see what we get up to. If past trends are anything to go by, you'll be very busy around January. You'll have lots of work to do. But
are you? Sorry, Ben. I was going to ask. Are you going to be subscribing to Wanderers TV so you're able to kind of keep an eye on the highlights, in-depth highlights that they're going to be putting forward?
Well, that's definitely an option, but so's a dodgy website. You know what I mean?
Or you just subscribe to the Fanzone on YouTube.
Oh, of course, obviously.
I've got a card machine here. It's only a £5.
But there's a website called Y Scout as well, and that gives you you can watch out full 90s on there as well. So when I get a bit further, maybe I'll buy that because that'll make my threads a lot better, a lot more in depth. So it's not like new highlights and stuff.
Good stuff.
Excellent.
No, I think where you are at the minute is really good. Obviously, to say that you haven't been doing it long, the content is really good. It's enjoyable to read as well, which is always a big thing. You sometimes get these long threads that are quite dull, but you really do a good job at putting them together. And you are always more than welcome to come on here and have a chat about Bolton whenever you're free.
Absolutely,
You might be getting snapped up from elsewhere, but there's always a place here
Don't
for you.
forget us. Don't forget the little people.
No, it'd be good. It'd be good to maybe get you on throughout the season, like to maybe
a couple of points through the season and see how they're getting on.
I'd love to come back on. Definitely, that'd be great.
More than welcome, mate. More than welcome.
Good lad.
You certainly are. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate it. We won't take up too much more of your time, but thank you honestly for joining us. We really do appreciate it, and we'll certainly see you around, Callum.
More importantly, keep up the good work.
Keep it up. It's been a joy to watch. Yeah.
Very
good. Thanks for having me on. Ball_Norwich7 on Twitter. Thanks.
That's the one. Yep. So there you have it. That is just about bringing the Fanzone podcast, episode 42, the first of season 2, to a close. Thank you all very, very much for watching. And just before we go, we're looking to sort of divulge our content and get into some different things. So if you would like to feed back your thoughts on any of the games this season, then we will be sticking around outside the fan zone after the games for you to come and have a chat with us and talk about the game, give us your thoughts, and all of that will be used sort of on our socials and for the pod. It'll drive conversations and topics for us. So if you'd like to sort of get involved with what we're doing, come and have a chat and give us some ideas, we'd be more than open to that. So outside the fan zone, at some of the games, you can come and catch us. But I think that's all from us
Bit
at
of a match
the
reaction.
fan zone pod.
Bit of a match reaction. That's the idea.
Yeah, I mean it's the fan zone. It's your pod. Let's get involved.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
Keeping it real.
So thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed. Let us know how you found the new look and the new feel of things over here. We really hope you enjoyed it. But thank you all for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.
Come on, you